Hello, my name is Ray Hughes, and I'm an interviewer for the Veterans History Project conducted by the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and locally administered here at the Cincinnati Hamilton County Public Library at 9th and Walnut Streets, and administered by Brian Powers, who is our cameraman today. And today's date is the 22nd of January, a Wednesday, 2020. And today we have the honor and privilege of interviewing World War II veteran Russell L. Carr. Mr. Carr, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you.
And thank you for being here today. A few questions, if we could.
Huh?
What was your date of birth, sir? What is your date of birth?
Date of birth, August the 4th, 1918.
August 4th?
I'm World War I baby.
That's right.
My dad didn't have to go on account I was born.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Outstanding. And where were you living when you were born?
Yeah, I was living in Medora, Indiana. That's 20 miles south of Seymour, out towards Bedford, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in a log cabin.
Oh, yeah.
And in between the logs, we had mud packed to keep the cold air out. And what they papered the log cabin with, it was 4-foot lengths of rolls of, it's like cardboard. It was a pinky. They cut little squares out and used carpet tack them up on the wall. Hold it on the wall. And we were sitting in there getting our lessons one time by the chimney with a coil lamp. My mother heard something rattle between the walls of the log. And she waited a little bit, out fell a snake. She goes with a butcher knife and works on him, gets rid of him.
What were your mom and dad's names?
Huh?
Is it okay to call you Russ?
Yeah, they call me Russ.
What were your mother and father's names, Russ?
My father's name was Charles Francis Carr, and my mother was Ruth Marie Winters.
Winters?
Yeah. She lived at up at Finneytown. And my dad worked on the railroad. And when he get close to her house, he'd go out on the coal tender and throw coal off for him so he'd keep her house warm. That's how they met.
Is that right? Russ, did you know your grandparents on your dad's side?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, real well.
What was their name?
My grandfather was Alexandra Carr, and my mother was Euphemie. I forget what the last name, but they were married for quite a while.
I see. They lived out there where you did?
Huh?
Did they live near you all?
Well, my grandfather owned this here farm what we lived on. Then he had ground around different places. My family was first to settle in that part of the country. We lived there till my mother got tired. She wanted to go back to Ohio and live. So my dad went and put the furniture and everything on the freight. When he went down to mail it, we was going to Anderson, Indiana. But he changed his mind. He went to Lawrenceburg. He changed it.
Huh. Your mother, did you know her parents, your grandparents on her side?
Oh, yeah.
What was their name?
My grandmother was named Nettie Winters, and my grandfather was named Johnny Winters. John Winters.
Yeah.
Now he was, my mother and them were with him. They was at Addison, Ohio, shopping. He walked down the street, and she was in front of him, and he says, "Oh, Ruth." About that time, he hit her shoulder, and he fell over dead. He had a heart attack.
Where was that at?
Addison, Indiana.
Addison?
Ohio.
Oh, Addison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Down on the river.
No, well, pretty close.
Yeah. Now, did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I had 4 sisters and 2 brothers, and all three of us were in World War II. My youngest brother was in the service over in Europe, following me. One eye, he's blind, one eye.
And they took him in the service?
Oh yeah, took him anyhow.
Yeah. What was his name?
Huh?
What was his name?
Thomas.
Thomas, and your other brother's name?
Harold. There's only 2 of us left. I got a sister in Lawrenceburg now. She's 92, and me. That's the only 2 of us left out of 7.
What's your sister's name who lives over in Lawrenceburg?
That's Florence.
Florence?
Yeah.
What church did you all belong to as a boy?
Christian. Belonged to Christian church.
I see. And what school did you go to, grade school? And
I only graduated out of the 8th grade. I never went anymore because back in the 20s, there was no work, no money. And I was helping this guy deliver milk, and he gave me a quart of milk every day. And I'd take it home and my mother would use it for cooking. And I had a toothache one time. And oh, it hurt. It hurt so bad. Didn't have 50 cents to have a tooth pulled, so she had to borrow 50 cents to get my tooth pulled.
Oh, Lord. Times have changed, ain't they?
Yeah. Well, back then, delivering milk, we used to expect on Monday morning. And the women would put the money out in the milk bottles on Sunday night, and the dollar bills are showing and everything. It'd be right there the next morning. Didn't have to worry about a thing.
Yeah.
We could go away and leave our door unlocked maybe 2 or 3 days. Nobody bothered a thing.
Where was the school you went to?
I went to Lawrenceburg Consolidated School.
For the all 1 to 8?
Yeah. I see they had high school.
Did you go through to high school at all?
No, I never even.
You just went to the 8th grade?
Yeah, I just graduated and never went to one.
And did you have any other jobs as a youngster coming up besides delivering the milk?
No, when I get down to the milk route, I take and go out and get these here telephone poles where they put new ones up, saw them a kit thing, and sell a bushel basket full of kindling to start the wood burning stove for 15 cents. And I accumulate enough to get a dollar, get a pair of pants. When I get it, I take and put money on the corner of the rug. And when I get a dollar, I tell my mom, and she'd get hold of Dad, and he'd take me down to the store and buy a pair of pants.
In Lawrenceburg?
In Lawrenceburg.
Yeah. Yeah. And what'd your dad do for a living?
Huh?
What'd your dad do for a living?
Well, he worked at different places until he got on to distillery. He cooked the mash at the distillery.
At Seagram's?
Seagram.
Yeah.
First he worked at Chinley, and then he took and his boss went to Shinley, so he asked my dad to go with him.
He went to Seagram's did he go to Seagram's or Shinley?
He went to Shinley.
Oh, okay.
He retired. When he hit 65, he couldn't work no more.
How did your dad end up working on the railroad and throwing coal off?
Well, he had appendicitis, and my grandma didn't want him going back anymore working on the road. She said, no, there ain't no sense you going back to work there. Just stay off of it. Get something else.
And how did he meet your mother, you say?
Through throwing the coal off, and they got to know one another.
Through Finneytown?
In Finneytown.
Is that right? Now, after grade school, when you finished grade school, I guess, what are you, about 12 years old or something?
I was 16. When I hit 16, I could start driving. Well, This guy had this milk route. Why, he busted it up so he wouldn't have to work so long. I took half of it and he took half. And I did that till I went to service. And I was getting $12 a week. He was paying me $12 a week. And I'd give my mother $10 so she could buy groceries and stuff. I had $2 for my cigarettes.
I see.
I couldn't be a heavy smoker. Who wouldn't have the money to buy cigarettes?
Did you guys raise a lot of tobacco when you were a boy?
He only did it a couple of times. He didn't do it too much. But,
Did you have a lot of livestock?
no, just had regular, had a team of horses, had about 4 cows, and raised a hog or something,
And chickens?
chicken. We lived off the fat of the land the biggest part of the time.
Yeah.
My mother had a .22 rifle. And about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, she'd go, we lived in the woods, is pretty close. She said, well, I'm going up and get supper. She'd go up there a little bit, come back, have a couple of squirrels. She'd take them, skin them, clean them, fry them up for squirrels. We lived off the fat of the land.
Yeah, yeah.
We eat groundhog. And,
Did you ever eat a coon?
huh?
Did you ever eat a raccoon?
No, didn't eat no raccoon. Eat possum. Possum's greasy.
Yeah.
Boy, it's fat.
So is a raccoon.
Yeah.
So, when you were growing up over there, did you have any girlfriends or anything?
Any girlfriend?
Yeah.
I had a, no, I was too young to have a girlfriend.
Okay.
I had, when I was out on the milk rod, I had a lot of girlfriends. A lot of married women. You heard about the Fuller Brush man, haven't you? The milkman was about as bad.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Lordy. Well, how old were you when you went into service?
How old was I? I was only about, well, if I'd went in at first, I'd been about, just hit 21. But the fellow I worked for, he got a 6-month deferment for me on account he couldn't find nobody to take my place. And then after that went out, I went in. I was about 22.
Were you drafted?
Yeah, I got my draft papers. I got my draft notice. It says, greetings and salutations. Your friends and neighbors have selected you to serve. I didn't know I had that many friends and neighbors.
What was the date you joined? I got down here.
1942,
2?
I think it is.
I got September the 21st, 1942.
Yeah.
So you'd been right at 23 years old,
Yeah.
or 24 years old.
Yeah.
Do you remember Pearl Harbor Day when the Japanese
Yeah,
attacked?
remember that.
You know what you was doing that day? You know what you was doing and where you were that day?
Yeah, I was delivering milk. Yep. He said, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do?
Yeah. Were you the first to go in the Army in your family?
No, my oldest brother was. He went down in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Tennessee. We drove down to see him one time. And he says, you'll be going. Well, the Army life's not bad. As long as you obey the rules and everything, you're going to get along just fine. I never had no problem.
What was he in, the infantry?
Yeah, he was in the Calvary too. Only it was from a part of an infantry outfit. The one I was in was nothing but cavalry.
I see. And so you joined on, where did you join at? Did you go to Cincinnati or?
First time I went to Louisville. And then I come back, And that's when I got the 6 months deferment. Well, the next time I went to Fort Bend, to Benjamin Harrison.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we left out. We asked the conductor where we was going. He says, well, I don't know. They don't tell me nothing. Well, before we got there, he went back on the vestibule and got in that little box back there up on the, pulled out his orders. We're going to Texas.
Where at in Texas?
We went to Brownwood, Texas.
Brownwood?
Brownwood. That was where Camp Bowie, Texas.
Where in the heck is that?
It's down about the central part, something like that.
I see. And that was for basic training?
Basic training, we trained with the tanks. We trained with the tank destroyer, with the infantry, with the engineers. Any outfit they could train us with, they trained us with because we was connected to all of them, off and on.
Did you know you were going to be in the Calvary to begin with?
No, we asked the conductor, where they go? Well, we even asked the sergeant over there to Fort Bend, where do they send us to? Well, I don't know. They don't tell us nothing. Here we found out I was going to Calvary. Well, if we're going to have horses, how am I going to take care of myself and the horse too? So about 2 weeks before we got there, the barn caught on fire. They did away with the horses, went mechanized.
I see.
And they was going to do away with the cavalry outfit, and we proved to them that they needed them during World War II.
And what did they train you to do there during your basic camp was about 12 weeks? Basic training?
It was about a little bit of everything.
They teach you how to drive a different...
Well, we drove, we went on the rifle range. I was a sharpshooter with a rifle. I never used the thing.
You were firing an M1 Garand there? What vehicles did you end up being in charge of?
What vehicle did I end up with?
Yeah.
That armored car.
Armored car?
That was my home. That was my sitting room. That was my sleeping room when I got to sleep. That was it. I had to stay with that the biggest part of the time because if I would leave it and they hollered for heavy gunfire, I wouldn't be there, so I had to stay with the vehicle.
And that's that vehicle right there?
Yeah, that's it. That's an 8-ton vehicle. See this?
Go ahead.
This is a hatch here. And see that little bar there?
Yes.
That's where I closed it. I get a hold of that and close it.
There's not much armor to protect you there, is there?
Well, the front of it is about an inch thick. On the sides is only about a quarter of an inch.
So your basic training's over after about 12 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah.
And where did they send you?
Well, we didn't hardly get 12 weeks in because they were trying to rush us, get us over there. Of course, we finished up in England. We took training there in England about 6 months.
So after you're finished down in, is it Fort Bowie?
Huh?
Fort Bowie in Texas?
Camp Bowie.
Camp Bowie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camp Bowie, and then one little burg there was only a grocery store because that's where the tank destroyers was at.
I see.
Papa Chris is Texas.
Who?
Copper's Cove.
Okay. So from there, where did they send you?
We went to Louisiana on maneuvers. We served in 2 Louisiana maneuvers. They had this infiltration cord. They had a wire about this high off the ground, barbed wire, and we had to get down and crawl through that, and they shoot live ammunition overhead. And If you raised up, you're gone.
Yeah.
They shoot you.
Wow.
One guy got killed. He raised up.
Wow. That's for real training.
Huh?
And how long were you down there in Louisiana doing that?
Oh, we was there until we got ready to go overseas. We got there at Camp Pope. That was a staging area. We got on the train, and we sat there for one whole day. And the train would go up 2 feet, stop. Then sit there for a little while, back up, right the same spot. Sat there for a little while, back up, back and forth. Till they got them all loaded, I guess. And when they got them loaded, they asked the conductor where we was going. He don't know, they don't tell us anything. We found out before they stopped at Louisville, he got some booze for the officers, and we tried to talk him out of one. He wouldn't give us any. So finally, one of the guys jumped off and got it, was running real fast and got one. Got a fifth. Put it back on. The conductor come around. Yeah, you ain't got nothing on us. We got one too.
And where were you heading from Louisville? Where would you go next?
We went to Camp Miles Standish in Massachusetts, and up around Boston. And we went down and drawed sheets, because we were going to stay there all night. Went down and drawed sheets, got the bed all made, crawled in, was thinking about going to sleep. The quartermaster caught on fire. All right, a bunch of hickory, evergreens, you know, and boy, it was really burning. They covered with tar paper. The building, boy, they were burning. We had to get out of there. They got us out.
Wow.
And then wasn't long, next couple of days, we was loading on a ship.
Out of where? Boston?
Out of Boston.
You recall the ship's name?
Huh?
What ship was it?
Oneida Victory.
Oneida?
Banana boat.
Oneida Victory, a banana boat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oneida, it was a banana boat.
And you're part of the 125th.
120. Well, when we was in England, they took and broke the Calvary up and made 2 squadrons.
You were the 113th when you
There's
were...
the 113th, and I was in the 125th.
But on your way to England, though, you were
Yeah.
still in the 113th?
Yeah.
And then...
They switched us there in London, not London, Lobscombe, maybe.
how long did it take you to get over there on board ship?
Took us 9 days to go over, and the reason why it took so long, we had to take the northern route. The submarines, German submarines, was patrolling the regular route, and we went the northern route, missed the submarine. Took us 3 days to come back.
Oh, 3 days to come
Yeah.
back? Yeah. And 9 to go over.
Yeah.
Where'd you land at in England?
We landed in Scotland.
Scotland?
Yeah, it was nighttime, and the Scotsman come out and hollered, wanted to know who we were. He told them, we're Americans. Okay, come on in. So they put the ship up the landing, we unloaded. Come on the train, went to Lobscombe, England. Between Andover and Lobscombe.
And how long did you stay there?
Oh, we was there till they had the invasion.
So how long was that roughly? You were
I'd
there?
say 6 months, something like that.
Okay.
We trained all the while we was there.
Uh-huh.
We had
What kind of training?
shooting. Had to when the airplane go over, we had to be able to recognize what plane it was, whether it was German or that. And then guns, we had to learn about guns. So
What caliber of gun is that you're firing there?
this here is a 37, millimeter. This is a 50 caliber. Then the radio operator's got a 30 caliber down here.
Okay. A 37 and a 50. And tell us more about your training there before.
Huh?
Tell us more about your training there in England.
Well, what they did, we got had a captain. He was in the troopers, in the paratroopers, and he got wounded, so he put him over on us, and he had us doing everything. We'd strip down in wintertime. We stripped down to the waist, take a 9-pound rifle, an M1, go out calisthenics for an hour. Cold. He said, if you work fast enough, you keep warm.
What was his name? Do you remember his name?
You don't remember his name. He was a little short guy.
That might be why you've lived so long. You're getting
I don't
healthy
know.
like that.
It was cold.
Yeah. And what else about your training before we?
Well, we had to learn about the guns. We had to learn about Germans' artillery. They had an 88. You remember that 88?
Yes.
There on the Siegfried line, the Germans was making a push. And so our lieutenant, he got one of them fired at him point blank.
Wow.
Made him, you couldn't find a piece of it.
You recall your lieutenant's name?
Huh?
Do you recall that lieutenant's name?
Lansing's his last name.
Who?
Lansing was his last
Lansing?
name. Lansing.
L-
Lansing.
Huh?
Lansing.
Lindsay?
Lansing.
His last name again was what?
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
Lindsey?
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. So, you finished your training in England. When did they ship you overseas, over to France?
Do what?
When did they ship you over to France?
Well, we left on Southampton, England, the wee hours of the morning. When they pulled the invasion off, you could, far as you could see, either way, either direction, it was black with airplanes and Skyler. And as soon as they established a beachhead, we could go in because there were so many casualties on the beach. You had to take a bulldozer and push them aside so we could get the vehicles through.
What day did you go on board the beach? The day of the invasion or the next day?
I don't remember what the day was.
Was it the same day of the invasion or the next day? Or was it the same day of the invasion or the next day? Or
No, it took them a while to get a beachhead. We was there, sat there in Southampton, England, a couple of days before they got a beachhead. See what happened? The tide was coming in, and they had barbed wire fence posts on the beach. They couldn't get up close enough where it would be shallow, so we had to drop the ramp early, which the guys had, soldiers had fuel packs on, 65 pounds. The water was too deep; they couldn't swim. The weighted them down, and then over the airplanes, they dropped the airplanes, cut them loose too long. The paratroopers dropped excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them got dropped as high as 5 and 15 miles from the drop zone.
yeah.
And some of them got dropped in German maneuvers. And there was one of them got caught on a church steeple up there. So they got a dummy up there now.
Yeah. That was at St. Mary Église. So when you went on the beach there, did you go all the way up on the beach and they let down a ramp and you drove off a ship?
No, they had a derrick. The ship had a derrick, hook onto the vehicle, raise it out, and drop it off, and there wasn't no ramp for us there. Just a ramp for the soldiers when they had the invasion.
So they would take your vehicle. What's this vehicle called?
Armored car.
An armored
M8. It's an M8.
M8?
M8.
M8?
M8.
M8.
Yeah.
Armored car.
Yeah.
And they would lift that off of the ship.
Lift it off with a crane, and set it over in the water.
And then you would drive it off.
Drive it off.
And that was an 8-ton vehicle, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many men are on that M?
4. There's a sergeant, which is the car commander, the gunner, and the driver, and the radio operator.
So at this point, you're the 125th Cavalry, right? Because
Yeah.
they made 2 regiments while you were in England.
2 squadrons.
2 squadrons, the 113th
And
and the
125th.
125th. Did you guys travel together alongside each other?
No, it had Troop B was with headquarters, Army headquarters. And the rest of us were out scouting, getting information. There was fighting down the road there. There was a forest down there, and there was small arms fire. Sometimes the Germans would take and do that to kind of draw you, see what's happening. But they went down to check it, but they said, you sit here, we'll call you if we need you. So and we had a Belgium underground freedom fighter. He jumped out and got in the gutter and took the picture.
I see. So, so after you landed on, Omaha Beach,
Yeah.
and then what was the first cities or towns that you went to?
Well, what we first did, they got us on the beach, and we got up. We had to go to a staging area to clean the gasoline off of the vehicle. That was something like a putty you had to do on your carburetor, first one thing and another. And after that, was taken, set and wait until we got orders. And we had a lieutenant from Louisiana then, Lieutenant Perkins. We get these 5-in-1 rations, 4 or 5 soldiers could eat out of a box. And he come around a little bit, he eat a little bit each Sunday morning. He said, we're going out today. He said, but I won't be coming back. And where are you going? He said, I just won't come back with you. So he took us out and sent us out. Sure enough, he got knocked off the first time. How he realized that, I don't know.
Wow.
Heck of a nice guy.
And where were you going? Where were you at when that happened?
There up there on the hill of St. Lo.
I was talking to you earlier today about some general that they put on the top of a
Oh,
jeep.
that was there at St. Lo. There was the general. I forget what his name was. He got killed there at St. Lo. And so what they did, they took and put him on a gurney and put him up on top of a jeep and put him between the jeep between 2 Sherman tanks. And they wheeled him down on the main square down there in St. Lo and put him on a pedestal right in town square.
Where were you at then?
We was up on the hill.
Uh-huh. Protecting them?
Yeah.
Now you were fighting with the 29th Infantry Division then, weren't you?
We was with the 29th. We fought with the 29th, the 30th, and all of them. They had us doing a little bit of everything.
Did you come into contact with Germans
Oh,
personally?
Yeah. There towards the last, these Germans come up out of these here ditches, you know, and they was taking the change their uniform and get a soldier's, one of the American uniform, and put it on and say, we come over to fight with you, we're going to get the Russians. We are not.
Yes.
Trying to get in the car, and the gunner was taking 37 millimeter shells and beating their knuckles with, trying to get out of here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've never heard that one before. That's a new one.
Say, we come over, they sent us over to work with you guys. Go fight the Russians.
Uh-huh.
We don't believe that.
How long were you at St. Lo?
Huh?
How long were you at St. Lo?
St. Lo? I'd say maybe a week or so. We sent us out. We got in this hedgerow country. In that hedgerow country, there's just one way in and one way out. The way you went in, the way you go out. And on each corner of it was like a field, only had a 4-foot levee around it. And on top of that levee was hedgerow. And each corner was a machine gun's nest. And in the center there was one. So had crossfire, couldn't miss you. And so they come along, I had to fought with that for quite a while. When they come along, they took just a Sherman tank, they put teeth on it like forks, only real heavy. They take them tanks and go right through it.
Did any of your men get hit while you were in the hedgerows?
What?
Did any of your men get wounded while you were in the hedgerows?
Yeah, a couple of them got wounded. But,
How about you? Did you have any close calls in this?
oh, I had all kinds. What worried me the most is that if he hit that armored car, there's no way out. That little hole there is where you go in, is where you go out. This little hole here.
We're
Yeah.
up here. Now,
That's the way you go in, the way you go out.
but you're exposed all the time, aren't you?
Huh?
When you're driving this vehicle, you're exposed, aren't you, all the time?
No, no. I was standing up.
Oh,
You go
okay.
down low. You can't see over the side. Can't see them. Only thing you see is in front of you.
Okay. And so you were at St. Lo for what, a week or so?
Huh?
Were you at St. Lo about a week or so?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's just hard to say.
Who was your commanding officer?
Well, I guess they took that little book,
Yeah.
chaplain book. Commanding officer was over the regiment was Colonel Biddle.
Biddle?
He had 25 years at West Point. And if he would smile, it'd crack his face. He was good general. He knew what he was doing. But we get us out on a mission, you know, we get back. And he said, well, you can't sit here idle, you got to be doing something. He'd go down to headquarters, and they'd kick him out of there, and he'd go out on the step, sit and cry because he didn't have no mission for his troops. He wanted to out on the go all the time. He said, we're going to finish this off right.
Where did you move to next after St. Lo?
Huh?
Where did you go next after St. Lo?
Well, we left. What happened there long before we got to St. Lo, the Germans give people who live along the channel there anything they asked for, they got. And when Hitler brought Rommel up from Africa, he was worried there was going to be an invasion. Well, Rommel had a birthday. And his birthday, his wife was having a big birthday party in Berlin. So he had to go back to Berlin for the birthday party. So he put up a dummy minefield, and that held us up a little bit. And the girls there on the channel, they try to get us in the house. They take off their clothes, stand in front of the window, you know. Maybe get the guy there. Nope. He wasn't that dumb. So we was there for a while. We got through the minefield. Then we went to St. Lo. And this here, one guy, he was tired. I guess he was tired. And there was a wall partially standing there. He come around that wall and he leaned up against it. He just slid down to sit down. And about the time he got to sit down, bang, big old bomb went off. What it was, I said, man, that guy's gone. Got up and shook himself. He's all right. What it was a concussion bomb. They had something like, we call them screaming memes. They make all kinds of noise. And it wouldn't be nothing, only concussion. And he shook himself, started walking off. Who woke him up?
I bet.
But then we went to, they sent us out on a problem to find out about this outfit here. See if there's any Germans there. They had a report, so many German heavy artillery. They sent us out to find out what so. We did a lot of scouting at nighttime. That's about the only time I'd be out of that vehicle, at nighttime. And we had we go to these here, go around, and we hear a lot of people stirring around. Couldn't figure out what it was, whether it was Germans or whether it was Americans. So they come up with the idea, these here crickets, you know, once you squeeze, sound like a cricket. They gave us them. So when we come across somebody, all we do is press that, and they would, we'd give it back. It was the Germans doing the same thing. They caught on to it. So we had to do away with that.
Yeah.
Not a rough time. We got there in Brussels, Belgium, and the lieutenant says, we're going to stay here overnight. Told the sergeant, says, put out your outpost. Said, you see you're on 2 hours and off 2 hours. So there was about 4 American girls got caught over there. And they heard we coming. And they figured a party. We're going to have a party that night. But the lieutenant found out we were going to have a party. He took us on the outside of town. They had the party. We had to listen to them.
That's called rank has its privileges. Yeah.
Some of them lieutenants, I'll tell you.
What other kind of vehicles did you have in your outfit?
We had a half-track. At first I drove a half-track. I pulled an ammunition trailer. It was loaded down with all kinds of ammunition. And we was with a Mexican. His dad raised bulls. He's from New Mexico. His dad raised bulls for bullfighting. And he was a nice kid. And he said, where are we going to sleep at? I said, I don't know about you. I'm going to roll that tarp back and I'm going to sleep on top of that ammunition. Oh, you're crazy. Well, why am I crazy? He said, if we blow it up, you're gone. Oh, we get up there and sleep with there, never bother us. We get up there and we sleep on top of that, cover up with that our tarpaulin, sleep a little bit.
What other vehicles did you drive besides the M?
The Jeep.
And
we had them Jeeps there when we was on maneuver. Well, we get them armadillos down. You know what an armadillo is?
Mm-hmm.
Little animal.
Right.
They come out of them holes, you know. We get them Jeeps and we start chasing them armadillos with them Jeeps. And the captain called us one time. He got a hold of the lieutenant and says, Lieutenant, He said, you're going to have to tell them boys quit chasing them armadillos and get down to business. Well, he said, you know, Captain, he says, boys will be boys.
Did you drive anything else while you were in
No, a Jeep
France?
and an armored car and a half-track. That's all I think.
No, you didn't have tank destroyers in your outfit, did you?
Huh?
You didn't have tank destroyers in your outfit?
No, no, we had a light tank, but it wasn't big enough to knock out a big tank.
Mhm.
I forget what size it was. I think they carried well, a couple of them had houses on them. The rest of them had a very small gun,
Mhm.
maybe a 37 or 105, something like that.
105 is a pretty big shell, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long were you at Brussels?
Just went through Brussels, out on the other side, that's all. That was it. The girls over there were nice.
Well,
Oh, yeah. I had a little sweet gal from there in Brussels.
you did?
She got a hold of me and says, you come over here and get out of the way. You're going to get yourself hit. So I went over there and stood against the wall with her. And we stood there and talked quite a bit. And she was nice.
Did you do any fighting there around Brussels?
No. Germans, we done chasing Germans out of there. They heard we were coming. They getting out of our way.
Where did you go to next after Brussels?
We went on and see. We went to. We was heading for Holland. I think we wound up in Aachen.
Aachen?
Aachen, which is right on the border of Holland and Germany.
Right.
And there was a guy, one of the guys, guys bringing a load of gasoline up, 5-gallon cans, 6x6. And he stopped there. We was waiting for orders. And he says, which way is it to Aachen? They said, over that way. Well, they started throwing artillery shells. He said, back this way is Aachen. And there was a guy had a 6x6 load of 5-gallon cans of gasoline. He sold it to some Frenchman. And when he sold truck and all. And watch where he parked it. When he parked it, he jumped in the truck, took his gasoline up the front.
There's a little black market business.
Yeah.
Huh? Is that right?
It's funny things, lots of funny things happen over there.
Yeah, I can imagine. How long were you in Aachen?
We just went through Aachen. There was they could go in one town, at the edge of town there, you go in one basement, you cover the whole town in the basement, underground.
So you drove through Aachen, and then where did you go then from there? Was there any fighting going on in Aachen while you were there?
Anyway,
Any combat while you were in Aachen?
yeah, there's a little bit. But there's a few of them hung around. Some of them wouldn't all leave, just a few would stick around. No, we went to there, we headed for Germany. We got there to the Elbe River. They wouldn't let us go any further.
Where did you first, did you have any combat while you were in Germany? Were you in the Battle of the Bulge?
Yeah. 6 inches of snow, ice, cold, and I had the armored car. There's an open field there, and then I dug a foxhole in front of the armored car and had the armored car pointing out that way, the foxhole right down there. One of us would be in the foxhole, and one would be on the gunner, which change off. And I was so tired, I'd stand up and go to sleep. And so when it was gunner, when he was his time to come down, he'd come down and get some rocks and take it back up with him. And he'd see me going to sleep, he'd throw rocks at me and wake me up.
Did you have heat in this vehicle?
Have what?
Heat? Was there a heater in this vehicle?
No heat.
No heat.
No heat. Back behind the seat there, the driver's seat, there was a square box. It was partitioned off into a slot where they kept a 30-millimeter shell. I forget how many. I think they were to be about 24 shell. And then all the small arm stuff. Had it all loaded up with ammunition and everything. Hardly had time to move your feet around.
Were you in the line of combat there at the Battle of the Bulge?
Yeah, I was in the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
See, what happened there in the Battle of the Bulge, the Ardennes was a heavy top forest, and they tried the same thing in World War I, tried to make a push there. It didn't work. So they tried it this time, and they got slowed up. They broke through because what they did, the Germans put straw down that run the tanks on so the tracks wouldn't make no noise. They knew something was happening, but the tanks overrun the infantry and they had to surrender. I forget what the number of the infantry it was.
106.
Huh?
106 Division?
So, well, anyhow, we filled in where they left, surrendered. And so there was a lot of tanks overrun, a lot of soldiers. They were laying on the ground, wounded German soldiers come along, shot them in the head, and finished them off. And the word got around and says, we take no more SS troops prisoners. And I don't think we didn't either. We didn't take too many prisoners.
Did you have to fire a rifle while you were over there in Germany? Did you have to fire a rifle? Or did you just fire your 37 millimeter? That's what
no, I didn't. I had a rifle on the side of me. It was hard to get out. Pull it out, I'd probably hit myself on the chin or something like that. But the gunner, the radio operator, he could shoot his machine gun real easy. And there was a 30 caliber machine gun on the back of the turret here, and this here, 50 caliber. The gunner shot that the big spot.
Now you fired this one?
37 milli.
Yeah.
They shot a hole through that barrel, right through the barrel.
Of your gun?
Yeah.
Where were we at when that happened?
When that sergeant go to court-martial wing. Back with the sergeant go to court-martial wing, right on the front line.
For what?
Well, we went into this town in I think it must have been Holland. We got there, and so there was a truck parked in the center of the street.
A what?
A truck.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wide street. He says, go around that truck. I went around the truck, and he says, there's a bridge there. He said, now you go across that bridge. I said, Sarge, I ain't going across that bridge. You go across that bridge, I'll court-martial you. I said, get your court-martial out. I'm not going across that bridge. He said, you hear what I said? I said, you hear what I said? I ain't going across that bridge. And so I could see from the flash of the guns, there was something on that bridge, looked like a 55-gallon drum. And back of me was the truck caught on fire. Then whatever was on the bridge, it caught on fire. Then we sat between two fires. And I told the radio operator, I said, close your hatch. And I tell the gunner, the sergeant to back me out of here. He looked back there, he says, he ain't back there, you run off and left you. I I'm littler than you are. I'll get back there. Now I'll direct you out. And I guided him out. Tell him what way he turned the wheel. He backed down there. And sure enough, they shot a hole right through the barrel of a gun, right down where the breach.
So they were on the other side of the bridge?
Yeah, yeah. You could hear, after it settled down a little bit, you could hear the people out there skinning them mules or horses, whatever they were, pulled them with, getting the meat.
I'll be darned.
It's,
Yeah.
it's like we got there when we first started out in France. We come along this little, like a farm village, and pulled up alongside this house while these rest of them went down to check to see if there's anything down the road there. And this lady come out with 4 plates, vegetables on it, and meat. And we asked her what kind of meat it was. We made her understand. Well, there was an old mule out there in the pasture, out there eating grass. She pointed, went like that, pointed to him. Mule meat. They have them bones so just shining. Get all the meat off of them.
After you left there, how long were you in the area where the Battle of the Bulge was?
Oh, Battle of the Bulge, it lasted quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
See, Patton was in the south part, and he was coming up from the south to head them off. As soon as he got up and headed them off, seeing they couldn't go any further, why, they changed their tune. We headed for Germany.
Were you there when Patton arrived?
No, we didn't see him, but he come up there. He done his part.
Were you near Bastogne or in Bastogne? Were you in Bastogne?
No. Yeah.
Where did you go after the Bulge? Where did you go after the Battle of the Bulge?
After the Bulge, we went head for Germany, towards Germany. When the Germans took and put women and children out in front of the army, so the Russians wouldn't shoot them, you know. The Russians lost a lot of men, where the Germans didn't. Only lost, I'd say they was lucky to lose 50,000. Where the Russians, they lost up to hundreds of thousands. That, them Hitler used, that's the ones you had to watch. You'd be walking down the road, you see a kid come along, you better turn around and look at him every once in a while, because he might have a gun pointed at you.
Mm-hmm. Now you stayed in your vehicle. This is what you drove most of the time through Germany.
I stayed in that thing a big part of the time, except at nighttime when we go on patrol. When we go on a 5-man patrol, we didn't have to worry about anything. Well, we just going out and scout a little bit. When they pick out 15 men, look out, we're going to run into trouble.
Did you run into any trouble on those patrols?
Oh yeah, lots of time. Lots of time. Usually when we come up on them, we kind of surprise them a little bit. They didn't think we'd be up that far. They would take off and run, hide someplace.
Mm-hmm. Now when you're on patrol, you had to carry a rifle, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rifle, had hangar day.
Did you stay in touch with any of the guys that you served with after the war was over?
While I was over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to, we used to have a reunion every year, but so many of them had passed away and everything. They kind of busted up. You know, I don't think there's too many of them living anymore.
Yeah. How did you, when did you arrive on the Elbe River? Do you remember the date?
I don't remember the date.
How did you get to Dachau?
How to get to Dachau?
Yeah.
Well, we was out on patrol, and
Because Dachau is in the southwest of Germany, over from Munich.
well, they took that book, had a map in it, you could see.
You must have went from St. Lo down that way.
Yeah. But I got a big map of every place I went on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 15 by 25, 24. I got a frame of every place I was at.
Tell us about Dachau, if you will. When you arrived at Dachau, were there already Americans inside the camp?
Well, they was doing some wars or something. That was a messy place. It wasn't very well cleaned.
Yeah.
High smell, odor.
Did you go inside the camp?
Oh yeah.
Through
Yeah,
the-
we went inside, checked everything. They went out the other side, get in your cars, we're leaving.
How long were you there?
Not very long, just long enough to go through.
Did you get out of your vehicle and
Huh?
did you get out of your vehicle while you were there?
No, well, no,
Did
so
you,
gone through.
did you see any of the prisoners and Jewish people there?
Anyway,
Did you see any of the prisoners or Jewish people?
oh yeah, yeah. There's it's like had all these displaced persons, and you know a GI never eats all his meal. They have a garbage can out there, so they get them for a mess. Get out. These Germans have these displaced persons have a tomato can, like where the lid wouldn't be all the way off. They use that for handling. Dip down in there, get a cupful and eat it.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell. You ever see anybody that hungry?
No, I don't think so. No.
Man, I'm telling you, it was a pretty sight.
Yeah.
It was an awful sight to see them dipping down in that garbage and pick it up and eat it.
Were there still any Germans there when you were going? Were there still any Germans around when you were going through Dachau?
Not too many. A lot of them got out there. The army usually took off and run when they found out we was coming pretty close. But he was getting short of men.
Yeah.
He wouldn't hang on to what he had.
I was just wondering if you ran into any of the SS men while you were at Dachau.
Oh, that SS, we met them all the time. Schuffenstock.
Yeah.
They was Hitler's top one.
Did you fire at any of them, or did they fire at you, the SS?
Oh yeah, they fired at us all the time. We whipped them though.
Mm-hmm.
It was his top army.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
They couldn't whip us.
Well, when you reached the Elbe River, did you meet with the Russians?
No, what what happened was there was a fellow from New York. He could talk Russian, and so what they done, him and the lieutenant and another guy, I guess the recorder, went over to meet the Russians. They crossed the river. They got on the other side. They hit a minefield on the Jeep and blew their vehicle up. So they got started and they met with the Russians and they got all the information they wanted. They come back and the guy could talk German. He said, them Russians, they party all the time. They bring their women right with them. He said, they have their women right with them.
How long did you stay there on that border?
Not too long. We were there about 2 weeks, I think. till we stayed there till the war ended.
Did you drink any of the Russian vodka or anything while you were there?
Oh, yeah, we hit them balls there once in a while. Give us a little spirit. Give us a little push. We went across a place over there was making them gin distillery. So we loaded up on that.
Pat, do you have any questions?
What do you want to ask him about what he did after he got back?
I will, but while we're...
Well, yeah, during that 2 weeks when you were there at the L, what did you do during that 2 weeks?
Well, what we did, we cleaned our equipment up, and we took and had a deer hanging on a tree all the time. When he wanted to see something to eat, go out and cut off a hunk, throw it over the fire and feed it. So, you know you can't eat them deer when they're pregnant. Make you sick or something, huh? But outside, we never done too much of anything.
How was the weather when you were there in that 2 weeks?
Well, it wasn't too bad. It was kind of cold, but wasn't no rain or anything.
How did your vehicle work in snow? How did it operate?
It had no problem whatsoever. See, it was a 6-wheel drive.
Well, when you're over there in the bulge, you talked about it being so cold and snowy and icy. Did you have to keep your machinery running all the time?
Yeah. Battery, we always seen the battery was up. We each little noticed the battery was running down. We'd tell them and they'd bring up a new one to put in.
This was over in the bulge?
Yeah.
You mentioned you had to look out for the kids. I know Hitler had the youth corps. Did you run into any of those in any of your engagements?
Hitler youth?
Hitler youth, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We run into them, but we didn't do too much to them because it's terrible to get out there and shoot at a kid.
What kind of armaments did they have?
They'd have rifles or something like that. Rifles, or they have a hand grenade.
Well, if you didn't shoot them, did you take them prisoner, or what did you do with them?
Well, they would be somebody come along, some of the back echelon would come along and probably grab them up and take them in. But we never took care of everything because they kept us on the move all the time.
Did you have any encounters with any Panzer tanks, German Panzers?
Huh?
Did you have any encounters with any German Panzer tanks?
Yeah, well, we went around, we was in this town in France, I think it was Fontaine, France. We went in this town, going down the street, and when they said, go to the right, went to the right, go around the square, and went around the square. We got around there was a Panzer tank pointing right at us. So I maneuvered, the gunner said, I can't get a shot at him. I said, well, just sit still, I'll get you settled. So I maneuvered a vehicle around where he got a shot and he knocked him out. Otherwise, the troop moved on.
Well, I heard the Panzers were pretty stout tank.
Oh,
how did you knock him out?
They had, they were so big and heavy that I don't think they traveled over 5 or 6 miles an hour. And they have cement that thick on the front of them and on the side.
Right.
Have it welded on there or hooked on.
Well, how did you knock him out?
He knocked his gun out. He knocked his gun out.
And how about the crew in the German tank? Did they come out, or?
Yeah, they come out as soon as they found out the gun was out. They're gone. They didn't stick around when they lose their power.
Did they have infantry with them in that tank?
Infantry?
Yeah, did they have infantry supporting that tank?
Yeah.
Did they leave too as soon as you knocked the tank out?
Yeah.
Who all was with you besides your equipment?
Yeah.
Who else was with you?
Well, we had the troop in back of us. We was the leader, and our platoon was going to take the lead. And the sergeant said, we'll have to get by so we can get them guys through. So we got the tank knocked out, and then brought them on.
In any of the towns you were in, either in France or anywhere else, were there a lot of German snipers in the different buildings?
Some of them, yeah, a lot of them. But it didn't take long to knock them out. They found out where they were at. Seemed like they would shoot, but they wouldn't duck after they shoot. They'd where you had a straight shot at them. They have poor training.
Well, you were telling Ray about the town that you were in where you had to go around this truck, and there were Germans on the other side of the bridge. Now, what happened to your tank commander and the other fellow? Where did they go?
I don't know. I ain't never seen him to this day. I guess he's still running.
And you told me at lunch that you almost got killed at that time. How'd that happen?
Well, see the two fires. We sat between the two fires, and we had the hatches open so we could see. And I told the radio operator, I said, close your hatch. And I was closing mine. And if I'd have been 2 minutes slower, I wouldn't have been sitting here telling you about it. It would have got me right through the shoulder.
All right.
It went halfway through that hatch.
Was that somebody firing from the bridge?
Yeah.
Well, how did the truck catch on fire?
I don't know. They must have had a bomb or something in it.
You talked about getting through a minefield. How did you and your unit get through this minefield?
Well, we had to fish around, check for mines.
How did you do that?
Well, we had guys that were trained for that. They get out there and fish around, check this, check that.
Were they probing the ground with
Yeah.
a bayonet or something?
Yeah. Easy. If they didn't find anything, they said, well, you can come this far, no further, till they got a little more. That's how we got through it.
And if they found one, what would they do?
Knock it off, stay back and set it off.
You mentioned early on about you had two brothers, and you said one went to Europe. Where did your other brother go?
Well, they were both of them in Europe.
Both in Europe?
Yeah.
And were they both in the Army?
Yeah.
What did they do?
Well, one brother, the youngest brother, he was a combat engineer. He went put these pontoon boats, these rubber rafts like, so we could get vehicles across the
Bridge? Across
Yeah.
the river?
Yeah, and he worked at that. And then my oldest brother, he was in the Calvary. I forget what outfit he was in. He was in the infantry, but it was a,
Cavalry unit?
yeah. And he was out fighting all the time with Patton.
He was with Patton?
Yeah.
Did he ever talk to you about what kind of person Patton was?
Patton always said, we'll cross that there bridge if it takes a 6x6 load of dog tags. And one thing about Patton, he was right up there on the front on riding them tanks.
So none of you boys had any injuries in service, thank goodness.
Not neither one of us. Only thing, I lost my hearing. Only thing.
You said that you only went to school to the 8th grade. Did your brothers finish school?
Yeah, well, my youngest brother and oldest brother, they finished high school. And I had two sisters that completed the high school.
How soon after Pearl Harbor did either one of your brothers get into service?
Well, as soon as they got the mail working them letters, as soon as they got them letters out, says you have been selected. Wasn't very long.
Where was your worst weather when you were over there in Europe? Was that at the Bulge?
I think it was.
How long were you there in that area
How long?
at the Bulge?
I'd say we was there a few weeks. I've got a map, like I said. It's
You described the one on your wall?
yeah, and it got every place we was. It tells all about where it was. Says it tells me on there how long I was at this place, that place.
Okay. So, how involved were you combat-wise while you were at the Bulge?
Well, I'd say all the while I was there, because there was always some that stayed behind. Some of the Germans would stay behind and keep things moving so the forward go ahead.
I think that's all for right now. Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, you're welcome, Pat. Were you at the bridge at Remagen?
Huh?
Were you at the Remagen Bridge?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. They had a truck on that the entrance of that bridge, and there was one of our men was up there. He got shot in the shoulder, and he scared him, and he got to running back, and I guess he just about bled to death. Well, there was a German, it must have been in that truck, and when they shot and hit it, it tore the whole lower part of his jaw off. He didn't have no lower jaw whatsoever. He'd come back, swinging his hand like that, he would come back, they took him into the medics.
American?
No, he was a German.
A German?
Yeah, he did, shot his whole lower jaw off.
Were you on the bridge?
Huh?
Did you ever get on the bridge?
Yeah,
You were just on this side of it?
yeah.
You didn't cross the bridge then?
I did,
Your outfit I'm talking about.
yeah. Well, we went over across in a pontoon boat,
Okay.
because what they worried about, that they might have had it to blow it up,
Mm-hmm.
and then, so we went across they built a pontoon bridge.
Right. Very true, yeah.
It's like they're on the Roa River. The Germans blew the dam there on the Roa River, where the water rushed so bad, it overrun some of the soldiers. And there was one soldier out there hollering, "Help, help." We couldn't get to him. He had a hold of a bush or something. He couldn't get out of the water. We couldn't get over to him and get him. The water was so swift.
Ray, do you have any questions? I know you.
Russ, you remember telling me about the sniper in the tree?
Oh, yeah. When we first went in this here, first combat, there was a road coming down this way, one going up that road going straight. Well, off the side there, a road was cut off to the right. And then it was coming up this way, road cut off to the left. Well, in between there was a little bunch of trees, and they started shooting. I heard them over there, couldn't see them. Here we shooting at our own men. Well, we got that straightened out, got started down the road, and I was going along there, I seen a guy come back, one of my good buddies come back, had the whole back of his head, a hole in the back of his head like that. And what happened to him? He says he just got shot. Couldn't figure out where he got shot at. So one of the guys happened to see the leaves moving, and this tree, a limb across the road, had this machine gun up in it. And every time one of them jeeps go by, why, he would see him, he'd shoot him in the back of the head. And this guy seen him with a 50 caliber machine gun. He turned that loose on him. He got him out there.
Did you have two of your good friends hit?
Huh?
Were two of your friends wounded? You were with them, side by side?
Two of your friends got wounded while you right beside you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Oh, when the Siegfried line, the Romans was making a push to go through, to break us up. So we was there guarding, and had this little guy from Virginia. We called him Backins, and he wasn't over. He was just barely over 4 foot. Little guy. So he was standing alongside of me there, and when they started throwing this 88s at us, why, our lieutenant, he got one point blank at him. And they shot one real close to us. The shrapnel had hit, broke off in pieces, and where the boy had the finger around, the little finger around the rifle, cut his finger off. It was on shaking like that. And then he had shrapnel in his shoulder. And we had to get him back to be taken care of.
Did he make it?
Yeah, oh yeah, he made it. We called him Backins.
Bacchus?
Backins,
Oh, Bacchus.
yeah. He was a little bitty guy. He was something else.
Well, how long were you at the Siegfried line?
We was there for, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 days. We got these here buildings there. They made out of fieldstone. They had walls on them that thick. And we go down that basement, and where the Germans were, they had straw down there. We thought we'd sit down there. We had these little gas burners, which was like a stove, and we fill that full of gas, or take a bottle, fill it up full of gasoline, put a rag down it, and set it on fire. And that's how we see light. Well, we come out of there, we'd have coal clinkers in our nose. So we sat there for a while, and we left there, got out of there and went someplace else.
Well, you know, I kind of like to explain some of these things for somebody who doesn't know anything about what you did and the conditions. How would you describe the Siegfried line for somebody that's going to watch your video?
How what?
How would you describe the Siegfried line for somebody that's going to watch your video?
Well, asked them if they went to school and they studied about the Siegfried line. A bunch of posts like all for so long, keep the people out, keep the other countries out. And they build it up there to keep them foreigners out. That's the only thing I can think of.
Were they concrete abutments to keep mechanized equipment out?
Yeah,
But it wouldn't keep people from walking through.
they could walk through. They could keep guns and everything like that out. Big.
Russ, you told me a few things about knockout, about the women and about the young boys.
About what?
The women that the camp commanders had killed,
Oh, yeah.
and the young boys.
Yeah, the camp commander, he had a red-headed woman, that Dunkow, and if he seen anybody looking at her, they got shot on the spot. And she would take and check them to see if they had any good tattoos. If they had good tattoos, they'd skin them, and she'd use them for lampshades, use them for
Wall art?
Wall art. Use her fingers for light switches.
Hmm.
She was mean. They were mean.
How about young boys?
Boys, some of the boys were bad. Yeah,
What do you mean by that?
they try to shoot you, walk on you, and just look at you.
What about the young boys that,
Huh?
I think you talked to me once about where they would send a group of soldiers into town to bring back a young boy to camp because they would end up killing them, but the camp commanders would have a race.
You didn't catch what you meant.
German soldiers would go into a town and bring a boy back out to camp, and the commanders would have a race with these boys. You remember that?
Yeah, there was two camp commanders talking about the bad things they done. The one guy come along and says, that ain't nothing what I done. I done worse than that. Well, what'd you do? Well, he says, I could cut a boy in half, one swish of the axe. And he can't do that. So they got on the street to get a 10-year-old boy. Bring him in, get him down on his hands and knees, made him cover his eyes up, and the guy took one swish of the axe and cut him in half. 10-year-old boy.
Wow.
And these were the camp commanders.
Huh?
Those were camp commanders did that?
Yeah.
Were they older Germans or were they younger Germans?
Well, getting down where they're about middle age, something like that. Hitler never, the way I get it, Hitler never told them to do all that stuff. It was just, they did it on their own, the officers.
What about the women that they hung upside down?
Huh?
The women that they would hang upside down?
Yeah, well, they take the women and they hang them upside down. Well, there's two women who run with these camps. And on their Sunday afternoon entertainment, they take and hang them upside down with their heels and take the cat of nine tails and see who could beat one to death first. And then they take and pour boiling water down their privates. Nasty.
Is that the only camp you went into was Dachau?
Yeah.
Anything else, right?
Went by quite a few of the others, and they have the ones that had cremators, had furnaces. They'd have it stacked up like cordwood on the outside.
So some of the camps you went to were the crematorium. They had the bodies
Yeah,
stacked up ready to go in.
yeah. Be stacked up like cordwood. And then there was a German, one of the infantry outfits overrun one of them, close to one of them camps. He's bringing a load of dead bodies in. And they didn't have time to get them in and get them cremated, so they just dug a long trench and shoved them all in that and covered them up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else, Ray?
No. I've
See-
covered pretty much everything that I've heard from them so far.
Russ, where were you at when the war was declared over?
When what?
Where were you when the war was declared over on May the 8th?
When it was over, I was in up there on the Elbe River. And then we hollered and hooped, then we're going home. Got back and got back to this camp. Why, we hadn't had a bath for so darn long. So we went to this Luftwaffe camp.
A what?
Luftwaffe camp, which is
Luftwaffe,
airport.
yeah.
And There wasn't no, the windows was shut out. There's no heat, but they had cold running water. We took a cold shower. Man, it felt good.
How long had it been since you had a bath?
Huh?
How many days did you go without a bath?
308 days. Couldn't stand one another.
You were right.
308 days without washing at all?
No place to do it. That's like when we first started out, first went into it. My feet were so tired. We went across this farm, and they had a barn which had a lot of hay in it. So we were going to, the sergeant put out the guard, and we thought, well, once they ain't on guard, get a little sleep. So I went up there. I thought, I'm going to take my shoes off. I took my shoes off. About the time I took them off and laid back, get ready to snooze a little bit, they started bombarding us. And I couldn't find my shoes. I had to fish around. I never took them off no more. And that would be the same way if you got your body, took your clothes off, take your shower, they start bombarding you. Well, there's no place to take a shower.
Where did they send you next then after the war's over? And
With what?
after the war is over, where did they send you first?
We went to Camp Lucky Strike, and we sitting there for, they was getting their orders ready, you know. Some of them had to go to South Pacific. See, we got out on points, I think it was 77 points. And I had 75, which finally got the 2 points from Battle of the Bulge, so that gave me enough to get out. And when we took and got the points, well, we used to Camp Lucky Strike, and they kept us there for a while till they got the ship. And this lieutenant, we couldn't bring anything back, only one item. And this lieutenant, he had a 40, had a pistol, and he was going to bring back with him. The MP standing there, hit it, you know, said, take it out. He had to take it out, and he had to go back and stay 2 more weeks. Because you take more than one, they caught you, but you had to go back and stay longer.
What'd you bring home?
Huh?
What'd you bring home?
I brought home a P-38, and I had one of them big old swastika flags.
Mm-hmm.
I brought one of them home, and some dish or the other, some pretty dish. That was it. Mm-hmm. I had the 32 automatic. This one boy from Chicago, I said, I'd like to get this home, but I've already got one to take. He says, give it to me, I'll get it home for you. So he took it, when he got out, he sent it to me through mail.
You still have those weapons, or did you?
No, I gave them away. I practically gave everything away.
Yeah. Did you take a ship home?
Huh?
Did you take a ship home from
Yeah,
La Havre?
it was Oneida. One was Oneida Victory, and the other was a banana boat, about the same name. And it was only room enough for 2,000 men. Well, we had about 2,500. Some of them was going to have to change beds. Turned about. I said, hell, I'll sleep on the floor. I just crawled under one of the bunks. And I slept all the way home. And there was playing poker. This one boy, he was playing poker, and every time he'd win a match, he'd buy somebody's life belt. He had life belts all around.
Where did you land at when you came home?
Well, we landed at New York, where we landed. We went up the Hudson River to a camp. They're going to have a steak dinner. Never did get the steak dinner. I've been waiting for it yet.
What camp were you heading for?
It was just a little staging area. It wasn't no camp.
Oh.
And then he shipped us out to I got shipped out to Camp Atterbury, Indiana.
Uh-huh.
That's where I was discharged at.
And you were discharged on your birthday?
Yeah.
No, that's your birthday.
Yeah.
You were discharged on October the 31st,
Yeah,
1945.
yeah.
And how'd you get home?
Well, I went out to the crossroads. There was a crossroads on 50, and I forget what the other went south and north. And I got out there, hitchhiked out there, and I was hitchhiking. People passed me up like freight train past a hobo.
Is
I
that
said,
right?
well, hell with them. I'll go back to camp, go back downtown. I went back, hitchhiked back downtown, went into the bus station there, and the gal says, well, it'll be a while before the bus comes. So I said, well, I won't sit here. So I went over to the bar over there, and I thought, I'd drink me a beer. And went in there, and I was in there for a little bit, and the two guys got in a fight. I said, I got to get out of here. I ain't going to stay in here. I went back over to the bus station, sat and waited on the bus. And so I rode the bus into Aurora, Indiana, and I went and got out off the bus and went to this place where I used to hang out with my girlfriend, and he run a bar. And we sat there and talked a little bit. He says, man, it's good to see you back. So he says, where you live? And I told him. He says, well, I said, I'll take you up. So when he closed, he gave me a fifth of whiskey and took me home.
And where were you living then?
Lawrenceburg, yeah.
Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
And what'd you do with yourself then?
Well, I went back to work. I was going to stay off a couple of weeks, but the guy I worked for, he come down and got me, so I had to go back the next day.
Doing what?
He delivering milk.
Okay.
He didn't want me to rest. He says, I need you. I said, I need to rest.
So what'd you do? Did you go to work?
Huh?
What'd you do? Did you go back to work right away?
Yeah, I went back to work. I worked, I worked 2 weeks. And then back then, them days, we had to make our own entertainment. We go to some farmers' back cow pastures, build a big barn for them, and roast hot dogs and marshmallows. And we would take and tell stories and sing songs, have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how the girl I had, she couldn't go. She had something else to do. And this other girl said, well, I got a girl, I can't go, so you take my girl. So took her, and we had a pretty good time. She says, first I didn't like him, but finally we wound up and got married.
What was her name?
Mary Louise Humphrey.
Humphrey?
Her dad was superintendent over the Dash's Foundry.
Over the what?
Superintendent of Dash's Foundry. Her dad was.
Uh-huh.
And
And your wife's first name again was what?
Mary Louise.
Mary Louise?
Yeah, she passed away. It'll be 3 years this coming November.
And where'd you all, when did you get married?
Got married in 46. And she didn't want no diamond ring. She wanted no big wedding. So we went down to Kentucky and got married. $28. She was a $28 bride.
We're at in Kentucky?
Covington.
Oh, in Covington. And what was the date of your marriage?
Huh?
What day did you get married on?
I think it was on the Saturday, I believe.
I mean, what day? Date?
Oh, August the 10th.
August 10th?
Yeah.
Okay. And where'd you all live at then? Where'd you move to?
Well, we stayed there in Lawrenceburg for a few days, and I said, let's get out of here. Let's go someplace. Well, she says, let's go home. So we got in Hamilton, and I got a job at Ford's.
You went up to Hamilton?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
went to Hamilton. And I didn't know my way around Hamilton, so she'd ride the bus with me to work and get me used to going. And a few times.
What,
After that, well, I was okay.
you went to work for Ford?
Ford.
Go,
Well, yeah, it was Ford.
what do you mean, a factory or,
Factory, yeah.
where at?
Up there in Hamilton. On,
They used to have a factory over on, this is Joe Knoxall Boulevard now, it used to be called Ford Boulevard.
And what'd you do,
And, Ford.
what'd you do there, what'd you do at Ford factory?
well, what I done, they was going to close it, and they had us in the machine shop. They had me on a drill press, and I told the foreman, I said, I don't care about this job. Give me another. So he put me on something else, a little cup like, and you had to get down in there to put something in there, wire it. And so he put me on that. He showed me how to do it. I said, well, how am I going to do that? Well, he said, you'll just have to learn. So I figured a way out to do it real easy. And he come around, and I had them stacked up there. He said, how are you doing that? I said, I ain't going to tell you. You're going to have to learn like I did. He says, well, I didn't have time to tell you before. I said, well, I ain't got time to tell you now. I'm busy working. He says, I told him, I said, you don't ever underestimate. The old man told me one time, he said, ever underestimate a man stand beside of you. He said, he might make a fool out of you. I told him that. He got away from me. He didn't stick around much longer.
How long did you work for Ford?
Huh?
How long did you work for Ford, Russ?
Ford? Not too long. They closed up pretty quick.
I see. And then where'd you go to work?
I drove a taxi cab, and then I worked at the food locker. That's where I learned how to cut meat. And I stayed with that till I retired.
And what was the name of the company?
Butler County Food Locker.
Butler County Food
Locker.
Locker? And you were a butcher?
Yeah.
And how long did you work for them?
Oh, I did that for about, I retired. I did that about 18 years.
So you retired young then?
I retired at 62.
62? Well, you had to work there longer than 18 years.
40 years ago.
Yeah. You retired in 1982.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't keep track of them dates.
Yeah. Did you have any other jobs besides the one at the food locker then?
Well, I was crossing guard at the school. Them poor little kids, I'm telling you. You go across the street with them, and if you hold on to them so they wouldn't dash out in front of you, they'd just be shaken, scared to death.
Now, did your wife work? Did your wife?
Yeah, she was a cashier for City of Hamilton. We was together 71 years.
71 years. Wow. Where did you live at in Where did you all live at?
Well, we lived on D Street for a while. Then we left there, and we bought a house on Fairview and lived there for a while. And then she says, well, let's get us another house. So we chased around and found another house over on Laurel and Andrew. Well, the house is a nice house, but there's no room for storage. So we lived there for a while. And I still am sitting there. I'm still living by myself.
There, yeah.
Doing my own cooking. That makes it bad. You don't know what to cook.
How long did your wife work for the city of Hamilton?
Oh, she worked there long enough to retire. Yeah, she retired from there.
And how many children did you have?
One.
And what's her name? Or
Willa.
Willa. And is she married?
Yeah, she lost her husband 5 years ago on Valentine's Day.
What's Willa's last name?
Ramsey.
Ramsey?
You know Jim Ramsey, one of the postmaster?
No, I don't.
It's his boy.
Oh, okay. And does Willa have any children?
Yeah, see, we got 1, 2, 3.
Three?
3 grandchildren.
And are they,
Got 6 great-grandchildren.
do you remember the names of your grandchildren?
Yeah, one is David. He's in Iraq now. And we got one, the granddaughter, Stacy. Then we got one, another boy, which is Jamie. He works for the Reds, Cincinnati Reds. He keeps track of the players.
Do you get free tickets?
Huh?
Do you get free tickets to the Reds game?
No, I asked him to give me couple tickets. He never did get them, so I don't watch the ball game.
And how many great-grandchildren?
Yeah.
You say 5?
See, I got twins. My youngest grandson, he just had twins. They're about a year old, something like that. And then I got great-grandchildren in Abilene, Kansas. There was a couple of them. One's about 4 years old, the other's a small one. And that's about it.
Brian, do you have some questions for us?
I just have a couple questions. So when you got drafted, weren't you a little, with the guys that you went into basic training, I guess they were maybe a little younger than you. Weren't you like 23?
Was I 23?
Yeah, how old were you when you got drafted?
Well, I'd say when I first got my first notice I got, I was only about 21 years old. Then after they got to 6 months, well, I was about 23 next to what I got.
But when you were in training, I guess, were you one of the older guys?
Huh?
Right, can you tell?
Weren't you one of the older guys when in basic training?
Not as I know of.
I thought maybe everybody was younger. And not sure.
I didn't tell how old I was.
Hey, Russ, tell them about your letter. Tell them about your draft letter.
About what?
Your draft letter?
Oh, got this draft letter when the Pearl Harbor, and they got these letters out. I got my draft notice. It says, greetings and salutations. Your friends and neighbors have selected you. I didn't know I had that many friends and neighbors.
The other question I had was, did you have any certain problems with your vehicle? Were there mechanical problems ever?
With this vehicle here?
Have any problem?
Yeah,
Mechanical
mechanical problems with the M8.
No, it had no big old Hercules engine in it.
And that is a diesel?
That wasn't no diesel,
It wasn't
gasoline.
gasoline?
I carried, on the back end of it, I carried 2 cans of gasoline there, 2 over here, 20 gallon. And we had an Air Force guy at the regimental headquarters. He had contact with the Air Force flying over, watching for us. And so the one down on the ground in the regimental headquarters, he radioed up to him, said, bring him out some gasoline. They ran out of gasoline. Well, where are they? Told us where we were at. He said, they can't be. He said, I can look right down and see them. He said, bring him some gasoline. So he brought up gasoline for us.
Do you remember where you were when you heard Hitler, when Hitler died?
Do you remember where you were when? Did you know Hitler? Did you know Hitler died while you were over there?
I don't remember, but I've heard stories that they don't think I was Hitler. That's one of his doubles. he had so many doubles, you couldn't tell who was Hitler and who wasn't. And this guy keeps telling us all the time, he says about midnight, says they had an airplane go out. And they figured that he went to Venezuela, flew to Venezuela. But him and old Eva Braun, that was his woman, said they were buried right there, said they dug them up. So I don't know.
How long were you in Germany when the war ended?
How long I was in Germany?
After the war ended.
Not very long. Because they got us back and getting their records and everything so we could ship us out, ship us back home.
And when did you get to take your shower? Where and when?
When I got there at Freiburg, Germany,
Freiburg?
Freiburg. It was a Luftwaffe camp there. No windows, ice on the ground, snow, cold. Oh man, it was cold. All cold water, no heat. Went in there, turned it on, cold water, cold shower. Man, I still take a cold shower. It's good for you.
Yeah, that's why you're doing so well. That's what I say.
The first thing I do is,
You made
in the
me
morning
think.
when I get up, I wash my mouth out. Then I go in and stuck my head under the faucet and wash cold water.
You made me think when you asked about Hitler. When you were in Germany or overseas, did you hear about President Roosevelt dying?
No.
You didn't know he was dead when you were
No.
over there?
The only thing I know about Roosevelt says, Ellen don't like war, and I don't like war.
That's right. Yeah. You were still overseas when they dropped the atomic bomb. Did you know about it when you were overseas?
Huh.
When did you find out about the atomic bomb?
I guess I read it in the paper, whatever.
Yeah. What's your feelings about us using the atomic bomb in World War II?
Well, you know what they say. Everything's fair, love, and war.
That's good. That's well put.
I just have one last question.
Huh?
I have one last question. How long was it before you and your brothers got back together in one place after the war?
Well, my oldest brother got back first. Then me, then my youngest brother got back last.
Well, how long was it before you guys were all back together? Was it?
I'd say maybe a couple of months.
And the history of your outfit is the red what? The red lion?
Huh?
What's the insignia of your outfit? The red lion?
No, Red Horse Calvary.
The red horse cow?
Yeah, we had service on the border.
At Mexico?
Yeah,
The Red Horse Cavalry.
Red Horse Calvary. It was the Iowa National Guard
And that was an Iowa outfit?
in Iowa. And that picture there,
Mm-hmm.
that's in their, that's in the State House over there. Only it's larger than that.
Anything else, Brian? Pat?
When you got back to New York, you said you were going up the Hudson River. Did you have any excitement going up the Hudson River?
No. Only thing of it, the women out there on them there flat tops taking off their clothes.
Is that why you were sailing up the river?
Yeah,
Why were they doing that?
I don't know. Thinking maybe we didn't see anything like that for a long time.
How many of you were there?
Oh, a whole bunch of us. Well, they were out there clapping hands and having a big time.
Did you have uniforms on?
Yeah.
Well, I
Did you
think
close your eyes?
No! What I close my eyes for?
Well, that sounds like a good time to end this is on a smile. Russ, I want to thank you for this interview.
I hope I helped you out.
Yep, you did, and I want to thank you for your service to our country, and I want to thank you for being a good American and your patriotic service. Thank you, sir.
Well, fellas, I tell you, I love my country. And if there's ever another, if they would take me, I would go.
And I know that's